This is CBN NewsWatch.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch for this Friday. I'm George Thomas. Today, millions of Israelis in harm's way. How the country is preparing to stop the deadly rockets from Hamas. Plus, what one Christian leader is warning about anti-Semitic views on the rise. Meanwhile, new guidance from the CDC about face masks, what this means for all of us living through this pandemic. And a Christian leader calling for action in the streets of Chicago. Those stories and much more on NewsWatch. But we begin overseas, where for the first time since 2014, Israeli troops are massing on the Gaza border for a possible incursion into Gaza in order to stop the constant barrage of rockets from Hamas and other Islamic groups. As my colleague Chris Mitchell reports from the Israeli communities under fire near the border, the rocket fire has put millions of Israelis in harm's way.
This video shows the buildup of tanks, troops, and equipment along Israel's border with Gaza. Israel has called up thousands of reservists for what many here believe could be a ground invasion into Gaza after days of constant rocket fire.
And we are prepared for any potential scenario as the military, and additional guidance we'll get from the political level. But we'll do whatever is necessary, whatever we can do to make sure that people can sleep in their homes and that what you're seeing here doesn't happen.
Since Monday, Hamas and other Palestinian terror groups from the Gaza Strip, about 2 miles behind me, have fired around 2,000 rockets into southern and central Israel. But it's becoming clear Israel is not just fighting these Palestinian groups, but the one who funds, arms, and supports them, the Islamic Republic of Iran. This is a Palestinian Islamic Jihad official boasting of its relationship with Iran.
The Mujahideen in Gaza and in Lebanon use Iranian weapons to strike the Zionists. We buy our weapons with Iranian money. An important part of our activity is under the supervision of Iranian experts. I'm not sorry. I'm proud to say that the rockets that are used to pound Tel Aviv have an Iranian signature on them, the signature of Qasem Soleimani.
With Iran's support for the terrorists, more than 1 million Israelis are living under the threat of rockets falling at any moment.
Put it in park. Put it in park.
This is the town of Ofakim near the border. Our CBN News crew hit the ground when we heard the red alert alarm. Well, that's what it's like for Israelis down here in southern Israel. We're in a town called Ofakim. We heard the red alert called Seva Adom. We had to stop the car, get out, and just lay on the ground. That's what Israelis have been doing for several days now, and maybe several more, depending on what happens inside the Gaza Strip. Moments later, the siren sounded again, and this time we joined Israelis rushing for the nearest bomb shelter. Naama Gigi shared what life is like with this constant threat.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying. I'm live here, but I'm working near to Gaza, Israel-Gaza border, and then there we have 10 seconds. So I remember a year ago, 2 years ago actually, when siren was on, and we just took babies and ran inside the bomb shelter, and you don't have time to think.
With no sign that Hamas and other terror groups are willing to stop the rocket fire, it appears Israel is now willing to put boots on the ground to end this conflict and keep Israelis out of bomb shelters. Chris Mitchell from Israeli communities in southern Israel near the Gaza border.
Thank you, Chris. In light of this conflict, we're seeing more anti-Semitism beliefs on the rise here in America. I'm joined now by evangelical pastor Reverend Johnny Moore, whose opinion in Newsweek explores this issue, specifically emerging from the left. Reverend Moore, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast. As I mentioned, you wrote in your editorial that, quote, "We ignore at our own risk the high-profile anti-Semitism emanating from the self-anointed gatekeepers of the progressive left." What do you mean by that?
I mean, we're seeing a significant trend in the Democratic Party, in particular, of socialism. But that socialism is crossing over with an anti-Semitic, anti-Zionism. And so the leaders of this movement, people like Ilhan Omar, the representative from Minnesota, called Israel a terrorist state in the last few days. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the rising star of the Democratic Party, may even challenge Chuck Schumer in a primary, excoriated Andrew Yang, who's running for mayor of New York City, at the top of the list for supporting Israel. I mean, it used to be that you could take for granted that Israel was a nonpartisan issue in the United States of America. The fact of the matter is, at the heights of power in our country, we have people defending tacitly the tactics of Hamas, and this is serious. And by the way, it isn't just our politicians. There were elements even of these various social justice movements all across the United States that are overtly anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic. They've attacked synagogues in the United States of America, and so we're saying, yes, condemn everything on the far right, but recognize that we're living in a culture that's giving cover to anti-Semitism on the far left.
How is, to that point, Johnny, how is the left using misinformation to spread anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic beliefs? And is it misinformation or misunderstanding?
George, I would take it to a different step. I don't think it's misinformation or misunderstanding. I think it's disinformation. I have watched over recent days as very, very powerful, influential people in Hollywood, cultural figures, social justice advocates, and even members of Congress spread intentional lies handed to them by Hamas and its affiliates in the Middle East through the media in the United States of America. I mean, the most profound example, perhaps, was this image of a tree burning in the courtyard of the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. It happened to also be Jerusalem Day, where young Israelis celebrate the city of Jerusalem. And a leader of all things, a founder of the Black Lives Matter movement, tweeted a total lie that came from Hamas itself. We're seeing, by the way, images of children that were killed by Assad in Syria put out on social media by American cultural figures alleging Israel had killed those children in Gaza. I mean, this is a point for moral clarity. Hamas is a proxy of the Islamic Republic of Iran, the same Iran that the United States government is negotiating with in Vienna right now. It is a designated terrorist group in the United States of America, and there should be no daylight between people of influence in the United States and Israel on this issue. And it's time to call them out. And I want to hear more people on the left call them out.
All right, Johnny, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming on the broadcast. Appreciate your thoughts.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Meanwhile, a return to normalcy is what people have longed for since the start of this pandemic. Now the CDC says the moment has come if you are fully vaccinated. Our Caitlin Burke has the latest on the new guidance.
We're going to start seeing a lot more smiling faces soon. New CDC guidelines say that fully vaccinated people may now safely participate in indoor and outdoor activities without wearing a mask or social distancing.
If you are fully vaccinated, you can start doing the things that you had stopped doing because of the pandemic. We have all longed for this moment when we can get back to some sense of normalcy.
I think it's a great milestone, a great day. It's been made possible by the extraordinary success we've had in vaccinating so many Americans so quickly.
To date, more than 154 million Americans have received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. That's about 47% of the population. The CDC director says the new guidance about masks is based on science. Evidence shows the vaccines are strongly protective, even against mutations of the virus. Still, there are some exceptions to the CDC's new recommendations. Masks are still required for anyone riding on buses, trains, or planes, and in hospitals. Experts acknowledge these guidelines are based on the honor system.
Anytime you see someone without a mask, the risk is to the unvaccinated individual. So people can choose to take that risk, but science and good data suggest that the smart move is to get vaccinated.
According to a new AP poll, a wide variety of Americans from different backgrounds have questions and hesitations about the vaccines. A large number of those who remain unvaccinated say they would need to hear their concerns addressed by a credible source before feeling comfortable with the shot. Kizmikia Corbett is hoping to be that person, especially for the Black community.
If I'm going to be a scientist and I'm going to try to create things that help people and benefit human health, then making sure that I translate that to people who are concerned about it seems to be appropriate.
Corbett helped lead development of the Moderna vaccine and now spends hours giving plain-spoken answers to counter misinformation. In a recent interview with AP, she pointed out that while the clinical trials may have seemed fast to outsiders, scientists have been working on vaccines for earlier cousins of COVID-19 for the last 6 years.
COVID-19 deaths in the U.S. are now at the lowest level in 10 months, a milestone health experts say would not have been possible without vaccines. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Coming up, an inspirational film is moving its audience to action, why a New York pastor is putting the focus on Chicago. That story in a moment.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Hollywood stars, including Oscar-winning actor Denzel Washington, have rented out movie theaters to show their support for a pastor-led documentary that opened in theaters nationwide. Our Charlene Aaron spoke with Pastor Dimas Celebarios about the message behind the film called Chicago, America's Hidden War.
I understand that the film did open in theaters nationwide on Wednesday. Tell us about your excitement. Tell us about how people are rallying. Even big name celebrities are really supporting people, to encouraging people to go and see this film. Talk about that.
Yeah, so our film this year, Chicago, America's Hidden War, which you can find in theaters around. You can go on Fandango. You can click to our website and all that. Celebrities have gotten behind it. First, they noticed because it got on the Oscars list. So that shows some of the most people that like to review films and scrutinize films have said this is done at the highest quality level. So then Denzel Washington and Pauletta Washington are backing our film, buying out theaters. Mark Burnett, Roma Downey got behind it. Willie from Duck Dynasty, who you met, who joined us out there, has gotten behind it. Dexter Darden and his girlfriend JoJo, who love the Lord, have stand behind this film. Charlemagne, he's gotten behind it. So this film is hitting people all across the spectrum, from, celebrities to hip hop artists. So we're just blown away by the support that has just been crossing the board, because many of them are saying, here's a faith film that is done at the highest level, that we want to say, you know what, we're with this. We need to stop the senseless killings in Chicago. And, over 77,000 people have been shot in Chicago since the start of the Iraqi war. Enough is enough, and we can't let this continue on.
Once people go and see this film, what is your hope? What is your desire that their response be after seeing this film, Dima?
One of the things that's amazing, that's been a huge response, is in this film, you will see a guy like Ron Hall, who has a movie called Same Kind of Different as Me. He's an old man, over 60. Now, Ron, I'm sorry to call you old man, but he's over 60, and he's walking the streets as a wealthy white man ministering to shooters. We have Bonnie Kate, who was in the Aurora shooting at the movie theater, on crutches, going up to shooters and praying for them, ministering to them. You can't be more white than Bonnie Kate. She is and I say that in the most loving sense. So there is no excuse to the church. We need to go in and help the ministries in Chicago and stand with them in prayer, stand with them with our resources, stand with them by personally going in. Charlene, you came in. You didn't come in with some rough street vibe. You're brilliant, you're outstanding, you're an incredible woman, and you were in a project room praying with people in the worst projects, to the point that I had to search for you. I was like, call the police, where's Charlene there? We were scared you got kidnapped, but you were safe and God used you. It just shows we can make a difference. And the film is not a sad movie. There's hope. You're going to see the church come out in power and strength. You're going to see guns being snatched off the street. You're going to see people being baptized. You're going to see people coming to the Lord. It is such a triumphant ending. And it shows, I've been waiting for this, like a movie where I see actually the church getting busy on the streets. And that's what our film does. And it will inspire you to do evangelism. It will inspire you to go out and win the lost. And it will encourage you to be a great witness, not only in Chicago, but in the cities that you live in.
Well, for people who want to find out how they can go see it, where can they find out what theaters are playing the film so they can go see it this weekend?
So they can go to chicagoshiddenwar.com, or they can simply go on Fandango and put in their zip code and click, and it will take them to the theater closest to them. And the way it is right now, we really need you to show up, because they put a double standard on many faith films. They're like, let's see how the turnout's going to be, so they scatter dates for it, but there's enough that you can plan and make it to a theater and be a part and see what God has done in the city. By the church going out on the streets, homicides dropped by 20%. What would happen if the church stayed on the streets?
Wow.
I believe we can eradicate the whole issue.
Go out and see it, everybody. Pastor Dimas, thank you so much for your time today. God bless you.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep. as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back to the broadcast. At age 15, Lila Rose started the pro-life group Live Action. Now, 16 years later, it's grown to become the world's largest online pro-life organization, helping make Lila one of the most prominent faces of the movement. CBN's Wendy Griffith talks to Lila about her first book, Fighting for Life, where she shows readers how God can use anyone at any age to make a difference.
As one of 8 children, Lila Rose never even knew about abortion until she was 9 years old and found a book in her parents' home.
I actually saw in that book abortion victim photography. So you can actually see in the first trimester a human child with arms and legs, a beautiful face, who's killed by the most dominant, the most prevalent abortion procedure, suction abortion. And I remember seeing this child who'd been killed in the first trimester and thinking, how can we be allowing this? How can we allow this to go on?
Those haunting images stuck in her mind. And at just 15, in her family's living room, Lila started Live Action as a way to educate young people about the evils of abortion.
Because I was really convinced that if people just knew the facts about fetal development, about the violence of abortion, and they saw the bigger picture, then we can change our culture to be pro-life.
What does it mean when we have a Supreme Court that has made the killing of the most defenseless among us a constitutional right?
While Lila and her team spoke to any audience that would listen, it seemed they weren't making a difference. The team then realized the real truth about abortion wasn't being told. So they decided to go undercover.
But I said I was 13. My boyfriend was 31.
Yeah.
And they said, don't worry, we won't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
In her book, Fighting for Life, Lila shares how she posed as a pregnant 13-year-old in a Planned Parenthood waiting room and tried to talk another young pregnant girl out of her abortion.
I said, how about we both just get out of here? I was desperate to get her to leave. And, she said no. And there was this complete despondency that overcame her. And then a clinician came into the waiting room and called her in and, saw the door close. And it's just the sense of desolation. We're fighting to save lives, but we lose lives as we go.
Fortunately, there are many more stories of Lila and her team saving lives.
We get emails regularly from young mothers who say, I'm having my baby. I was going to have an abortion, but I saw your video. I saw this, this content on social media, and I realized I couldn't go through with the abortion. And to know that you're helping to save a life, there's no greater honor or joy.
Today, Live Action has the most engaged following of any online pro-life organization in the world. Just look at the totals. Over 1.2 billion lifetime video views, over 5 million followers, and a weekly reach of 14 to 18 million people. What really made Live Action famous, so to speak, was when a former member went undercover and exposed how Planned Parenthood bought body parts of aborted babies.
At the Planned Parenthood where we work, we do collect fetal tissue
What David Daleiden and the Center for Medical Progress documented was absolutely horrific. Planned Parenthood executives bartering and selling the body parts of the children they kill. It was found that they're actually requesting, male fetuses for harvesting for $12,000. I mean, really horrific sale of children. And yet Planned Parenthood still operates. Planned Parenthood's still getting over $500 million in taxpayer money.
Lila tells CBN that's due to Planned Parenthood's political connections and established history.
They have, billions of dollars. They have invested tens of millions of dollars in different election cycles. They have deep pockets and friends in high places. And so we have a lot of work to do.
And as for legalized abortion,
I think that Roe v. Wade's days are absolutely numbered. It's bad law, built on bad premises. It falsely dehumanized the child, pretended the child didn't exist. And I think with the new Supreme Court, it's going to be a matter of time before it is overruled.
Lila recently became a mother herself and says that only makes her more passionate in her fight for life.
I talk about this in the book because the mission, I think, ultimately within the mission is family. And I am so privileged and grateful to have my own family now, marrying my husband, having my first son, and the joy that comes from that and the conviction that is even stronger from that, I think serves the pro-life mission.
She says the message of fighting for life is simple.
You're needed. God has a plan for your life specifically to help shape our world for the better and to be changed from within as well. And, you can help save lives. You can help change this nation to be more just and more loving. It is possible, and the fight requires all of us.
Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
And ministering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Well, folks, that's it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online at cbnnews.com. Hey, also tell us what you think about the stories you've seen by emailing us at newswatch@cbn.com. Or you can talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope you will join us again next time from all of us here at the studio headquarters of CBN News in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Goodbye.